What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Young Guns podcast. We are in a critical situation when it comes to the Vancouver Canucks. There's a lot of drama. They're not playing on par to the expectations that were set prior to the season starting. And now there's a lot of things up in the air in terms of who's going to get traded, who's the problem in the locker room, are they going to tank for Bedard? But as of lately, JT Miller is currently the most hated player in the NHL, and we're going to be talking about why. According to Elliot Freeman, the Vancouver Canucks locker room is shell shocked from how the season has gone. JT Miller has not taken any accountability for his lack of production. He actually said that it was a compliment to show that he's actually staying true to himself and it's part of the game and he's not trying to cheat his way out, which I don't know what that really doesn't really make any sense to begin with. I don't know what he's trying to say there, but it just seems like it's a statement that shows that he takes zero accountability. There was also a report from Nick Capriol saying that it's not even sure that JT Miller even wanted to stay in Vancouver. It's just that he wasn't guaranteed to get paid elsewhere. So JT Miller is currently in his last season. Um, of his original contract that was signed by Stevie Yzerman when he was with Tampa Bay. He's getting paid $5.25 million for the rest of the season. And his new contract that was signed by Patrick Alvin, the current general manager of the Vancouver Canucks, is uh, at $8 million up until 2029. 2030, so for 7 years, so until he's 36 years old. And there's a lot of debate right now of why did they prioritize JT Miller over Bo Horvat, who's going to be a UFA at the end of the season. There's a lot of rumors that he's going to be traded right now. He's having he's on pace to have a career year. He's scoring goals like crazy, and now there seems that there's a lot of doubt in the locker room and in terms of the fan base of the direction of where the Vancouver Canucks are headed. When you're prioritizing a problem essentially like JT Miller as opposed to your own captain, Bo Horvat, who's been there a lot longer and has been doing anything in his path to have a successful season and help the Canucks be a contending team, whereas JT Miller has been messing up in and out of the locker room. So after a viral incident with Colin Delia against the Winnipeg Jets, where there was a whole shouting match apparently, and telling him to get out of the net and to pass in the puck, and and Colin Delia refused to do that, and JT Miller was upset, and he did get out of the net, and it did lead to an empty net goal by the Winnipeg Jets after that. But there was a lot of speculation of why JT Miller's acting like that, and there was one last statement that I'm gonna say before I give Luca a chance to speak here. But there was a statement said that he's acting essentially like a prick, JT
Yeah.
Miller. And if I'm not mistaken, it was from Frank Saravelli that made that statement, saying that he's considered, around the league as a bad, character. So, Luca, what are your thoughts on JT Miller?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, first and foremost, the comment about Colin Delia, I think, to be honest, you look at a player that has had a really rough year in Vancouver this year. I know 32 points in 38 games is not horrible, but this is a guy that you can clearly tell doesn't want to be there. And you can clearly tell that he's hated by a lot of players on the team. And to be honest, you see him make a comment like that, and people, took offense to it, and rightfully so. I mean, you're talking about a teammate here, right? You're down, what, I think it's 3-2 in the game. You're trying to get a third goal back. I understand that. But what JT Miller has done this season defensively, why would a goalie trust his forward? Why would a goalie get out of the net and trust his forward, who arguably has costed his team a lot of games this season by giving the puck away in the defensive zone? An opportunity to play the puck and potentially pull the goalie. First of all, second of all, they hadn't even left the zone yet. He was just coming into the zone. He's like, get off the ice, and it's like, why are you making that comment? You know what I mean? So it was a little bit of a weird sequence between both of them. I think JT Miller, honestly, he comes out to me personally, as you know, what fans reiterated as a prick. He does come out as that to me, in my opinion. I don't think, like you said before, I don't think he takes accountability. He's a guy that, to be honest, seeing his character and just seeing how he plays, and to not even go to the media and say, you know what, I have to be better, I have to do this, I have to do that. To me, it kind of shows you the type of player and the type of person that he is that he blames everything else on everybody else but himself. I'll be honest, when he made that comment about how he's not cheating the game, I don't know what game he's watching. I don't know what game he's playing, but he's definitely cheating the game. Yes, maybe he's played better recently compared to the beginning of the season, but this guy's one of the worst offensive like forwards in
Yeah,
sorry,
he's
defensive forwards in
minus
the league.
13 right now, you know?
He's horrible. He's horrible.
Yeah, and look, with all due respect to JT Miller, he got 72 points in 69 games in 2019-2020 with the Vancouver Canucks. He got 99 points last season in 80 games, so 32 goals and 67 assists in 2021-2022. So he's playing his best hockey with the Vancouver Canucks. So it's understandable why he got extended. But the fact that they're lowballing Bo Horvat in terms of offers, especially when he has 28 goals in 38 games and he has 43 points total in this season. Look, Bo Horvat has been a 45 to 60 point player. Okay. Obviously, if with all due respect to Bo Horvat, even though he's having a fantastic season, the most I would give him is like $7 million,
Bo
$7.5 million.
Horvat, yeah, probably
Yeah. And, looking
even
at,
eight. I'd give him eight.
yeah, okay, that's fair. And looking at JT Miller, I would give him around, the same contract as, you know, Bo Horvat, but they gave him $8 million because he had a 99-point season and 72-point season, both with the team that he's currently with, right? So it's understandable. But offensively, there's no doubt about it. He's a fantastic player. But in terms of defensively, like Luca was alluding to before, he's very, very poor in that, domain of the game.
Dude,
And, you know, there was some rumors that, there was a incident that happened between JT Miller and the King of New York, Henrik Lundqvist, and it led to JT Miller being traded a couple days after that. Whether if that's factual or not, um, that's just rumors that happen from media that maybe they misinterpret a situation, and then look, a couple days later he got traded, and they're trying to like piece together things that have nothing to do with each other, right? So there was that incident. You also have a comment saying that when the team had veterans around like Mark Sturm, Chris Tanev, Jay Beagle, Brandon Sutter, Miller could be held in check, but apparently that's not the case anymore, as Miller has become the alpha male of the hockey club. Not only that, another comment was made saying you have no problem showing emotions when you want the goalie off, but when you just turn the puck over, where is the emotion? Where is the I'm
yeah,
going to catch this guy and do everything I can to prevent this from turning
he,
into a scoring opportunity? So there's those comments.
yeah.
Um, you know, also, Frank Saravelli was alluding to the JT Miller situation again, saying I don't know Miller if Miller's tradable right now with that contract. You would have to sweeten the pot to pull the trigger and move on from him.
Um,
Um, and
one of
another
the
thing that he said in terms of re-signing Miller over Horvat, I think it has thrown off their entire year. I think that's enough players in the room sitting there going, really, that's the pecking order. JT Miller um,
yeah,
over Bo Horvat.
and
Not looking good.
I gotta say something. So, you know, I've always been a fan of JT Miller. I was a fan of him when he was in New York. I think Vancouver picked him up. It was a good pickup for them. But I think that over the last
They traded nothing for him. It was an
yeah,
absolute steal.
over the last 2 years, he's been really, really like there's been a lot of talk about him. And I don't think that it's been a lot of positive talk. This is a guy that, I personally, when I watch the games and in the moments that I've seen Vancouver, and obviously they're in the media a lot because especially in Canada, they're covered quite a bit. But even at that, like every time you hear JT Miller's name, there's always negativity around it. And I don't think that that's necessarily a good thing. And the other thing is, too, right? You've got a situation with Bo Horvat. He's your captain. And arguably speaking, the face of the franchise in Vancouver before with Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes. Obviously, Pettersson's the face of the franchise with Quinn Hughes now, but Bo Horvat's the captain, right? And at the end of the day, signing JT Miller over Bo Horvat was a mistake that I don't think Vancouver fans are ever going to accept. And not only that, but like you said before, and like the comments were saying before, the pecking order, it goes to show you that you'd rather keep JT Miller, who's a toxic environment in the dressing room and who's clearly not liked by any of his teammates, over the captain of the team who has done so much for Vancouver, was there since he was drafted, wants to be a Canuck, and the Canucks don't want to pay him because they're out of cap space and they don't have that. And so I think, look, I'll be honest, I think they should have traded JT Miller when they had the chance. I think that
There were so many rumors last year that
I
he was
know,
going to be dealt,
but
and
it's not just that, bro. Like you
they
signed, look,
didn't.
you had what 5 point, what was it? He's at 5.25 this year. You signed him to an $8 million extension. What team this season or at all is going to look at that contract and go, yeah, we're going to take him? Like Vancouver is so tied up in their cap space, and they don't have so much to work with. And now they're dealing with this guy who has signed this 6-year contract with them, and they don't even want him. But no team in the league is going to take him because they're paying him $8 million to be a toxic locker room guy and who sucks defensively. He's one of the worst defensive forwards I've ever seen.
Yeah,
The
look,
guy does not play defense.
and look, there was a comment also made by his former Canuck Yannick Hansen.
Yeah.
I read one of his previous comments, but another comment that he said is that it doesn't matter how many points you have if you're that poor defensively and your plus and minus is like -13, -15, -20. You're hurting the team more than helping them, and this is a team that is known to be defensively bad because of how poor their defensive core has been structured. And not only that, when you have a guy like JT Miller, sure, look, this guy had 72 points and 99 points. Yes, he has that edge over Bo Horvat. But apart from those 2 seasons, they're fairly comparable in terms of stats. They're both, 50 to 60 point guys in terms of stats. Remove those 2 seasons away from
Well,
JT Miller. And
it's
as
not
of right
just
now,
that.
Bo Horvat's having a fantastic season. Maybe he could have a 70 point, 80 point season. And that makes him, fairly comparable in terms of his offensive production to JT Miller. And he's 2 years younger as well.
Yeah.
For me, as of right now, last year was a whole, a crap show. They said, okay, maybe they just need a better, regime. They brought in a new coach. They brought in a new, faces in terms of top positions in the organization, like general manager, assistant general manager, a president, and there was even issues there. There was issues within the organization. There's been issues in the locker room again. They're going back to their losing ways. So
Yeah.
to me, it
Agreed.
seems like yes, they did some good stuff last year in terms of the organization positions, but they also had to make some moves in terms of the hockey
But
team, and they
but
didn't do that. Instead, they kept the same team, extended whoever they had to extend, and added pieces, saying, you know what, that was like a piss poor season. Let's forget about it. Let's go with the same core that we have now. But unfortunately, it didn't work out, and now their hands are tied because they signed certain players to bad extensions.
I think Vancouver is going to be one of the worst managed teams in the league for a long time. This is a team that's got so many issues, so many problems that at this point, they're no offense, and I don't even want to be disrespectful, but they're making Arizona look good. And that's it's not even to try, and I'm not trying to disrespect Arizona either, but it's just more so a situation of I have never seen a team more dysfunctional than the Vancouver Canucks ever. I'm sorry, it does not make any sense to me
Well,
how you decide.
in recent memory,
Yeah, but it's not just that. How do you decide? How is it that you decide to go? We're gonna sign JT Miller to $8 million, but we're not gonna sign our captain, and we're gonna let him walk in free agency. And now all of a sudden you're turning back at this, going, "Shit, we made the wrong decision." Yeah, no shit, you made the wrong decision. You made the wrong decision last year when you signed them. Why? Because last year JT Miller was worth, and I kid you not, he was worth a first round pick and 2 high end prospects. That was the asking price.
He had 99 points. It was his best season ever. They
So
had
that's
to
what I'm
trade
saying.
him. They had to trade him when he was at an all-time high. Look, I
Trade the
know,
guy.
I
Trade
know, I
the
know.
guy.
We
I
made
don't understand.
I know we made a Connor Bedard video saying that, it would be a match made in heaven because he's a native, Vancouver citizen, and he's a fan of the team. He's been watching them since he was young, but not even Connor Bedard could solve all these problems. He's just one piece to the solution. And
I just think they should have traded JT Miller. They should have kept Bo Horvat. They would have been in such a better position than they are now.
yeah,
And now they're gonna slap themselves in the slap themselves in the face because at the end of the day, bro, like where are they gonna go? They're not. If they trade JT, I'd be very surprised if they got anything for JT Miller right now.
they're gonna have to
Honestly, I'd be
trade.
very
They're
surprised.
gonna have to trade Bo Horvat and other players. Like if they want any chance at getting Bedard, and I'm not gonna make this a whole big thing because we already covered
Yeah.
this. Or any you know, if they want any chance at getting a top 3 prospect, they're gonna have to start trading guys. But unfortunately, it seems one of those guys that will not be traded is JT Miller. He will be on the team next year, unfortunately, and Bo Horvat will not. But guys, we'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on JT Miller? Vancouver fans, how are you feeling about the locker room situation and all the drama surrounding JT Miller and the Vancouver Canucks? How are you feeling about the season? What needs to be done to help the Vancouver Canucks be successful for years to come? What do you do with JT Miller? What is he worth? We'd like to hear all that in the comment section below. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Young Guns Podcast.